Hey, hello, and welcome everybody to our continued session for Mastering RMM. And in our previous sessions, we talked about agent, we talked about patching, alerting, monitoring, lots of things. But the most important thing from an RMM standpoint is making sure that you have ways by which you can take remote access to the endpoint. And for today's session, we are going to talk about our ScreenConnect tool that's highly integrated with RMM to provide features for not only for remote access, backstage, but there are more features that we are being recently adding up. So I'll let Twinkle take over and explain and provide more details about how our ScreenConnect and RMM integration really works and what's up on our roadmap soon. Over to you, Twinkle.
Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to our Mastering RMM series. So I hope my screen is visible and we can get started. So we have had a lot of features of ScreenConnect within ASIO, right from policy deployment, and we have installing ScreenConnect. So before I move into the different features that we have for ScreenConnect within Azure today, I will just give a quick walkthrough of how we deploy ScreenConnect. So first and foremost, you need an RMM agent installed on the machine. That's a prerequisite for ScreenConnect to get installed. Once the RMM agent is installed on the machine, it checks whether that particular user or that particular machine is uh, enabled for ScreenConnect. It has a validation on the back end which checks whether the ScreenConnect enablement is on or not for that particular machine. Once it has checked for that, then it fetches all the required RMM components that are required to install ScreenConnect on the machine. And then once you have the policy enabled, it also checks whether the policy has been enabled. So as you can see over here, there are two sets of validation. First, it needs to check whether the machine is supposed to have ScreenConnect, and then based on the policy, which all endpoints will get those ScreenConnect. That is how the policy evaluation works. And then it proceeds with installation of the ScreenConnect. So this is about how ScreenConnect is deployed using policies, but how do policies actually work? So that is why I will be walking you all through the different ways in which policies work. So first is the global way wherein ConnectWise has installed that policy on your behalf and enabled it. So that is what we call the global policy. Then we have default policies, which are partner level policies that are created and deployed by partners themselves. Then we have site level policies, a slight lesser hierarchy, wherein those policies are applied only to those specific sites. We also have something called as policy groups, and wherein you set a certain criteria and all the endpoints matching that criteria come under that one single policy group, and you can utilize that policy group for all your policy-based deployments. The last but not the least is the override, wherein you can set a few endpoints or set a few machines, wherein although you want all the machines in a particular site to have that policy, but there would be one or two machines, or depending on your use case, you would have different kinds of machines where you don't want the policy to be applied. So in that case, overrides is a very helpful feature of the policies that we have where you can use it for exclusion. So now we move to the ScreenConnect policies. As you can see over here on the screen, we have different levels of settings in the ScreenConnect policy. One, we have for ScreenConnect servers and ScreenConnect for desktops. So within servers, you can see over here, as of today, we have ScreenConnect one-click server and access management already live. So one of the upcoming improvements that we have made to this policy screen over here is consistent branding across ASIO. So to give you a bit background, ScreenConnect was earlier called as ConnectWise Control, and over the time we have moved to renaming control as ScreenConnect. So our policies have also been renamed to ScreenConnect policies. And there is one additional feature which I had already mentioned, and that is in our previous RMM session was the reason for remote access, wherein you would be able to apply a policy to enable a reason kind of a pop-up within ASIO to take remote access. So as you can see over here, these are the different policy settings that we have as of today. And all of these policies can be used to configure the CAM function, to configure one-click server, to configure reason as well as to configure the remote access. So this pop-up basically is very helpful when you want to enable a technician to enter a reason before taking remote access. So this pop-up is accessible via the devices and the device details page as of today, and subsequently we would be rolling out this feature to different sections of ASIO, wherein from where you can initiate a remote access via ScreenConnect. So this is one part of it, but however, another useful part of it is you can the whatever the reason has been entered over here, it is also accessible into the remote access reports that we have as of today in the in-console reports. So there is a reason column in the remote access report which captures this particular reason, and later on for offline analysis you can use this report and understand the reason why a remote access session was initiated on that particular endpoint. So moving forward, we have also ScreenConnect consent enablement. As of today, you can enable or disable ScreenConnect consent to connect on via automation scripts. Now, what is consent to connect? So basically, this is a feature that is very helpful when you want the end user to provide consent before a technician initiates a remote access session. So in a plethora of use cases, we have seen that users may are working on something, or they are not, I mean, the machine is idle, or in so on and so forth. There can be many reasons. So in those cases, enabling a consent to connect becomes very valid and becomes very important. So these are the two automation scripts that we have as of today in ASIO, wherein you can enable this consent to connect option. So an extension to this particular feature within ASIO is we would be having a different policy as well for consent to connect. So here you can see in the last policy talks about consent for remote access. This is basically going to be another policy setting similar to that what we have for reason for remote access, and it will start showing up a pop-up for the end user or the machine where the remote access is being initiated. It will show a pop-up which will allow the user to either give consent or refuse consent. So upon enabling this consent, the end user would receive a prompt similar to this. And once it has given the consent, the technician can proceed with the troubleshooting that is to be expected on the endpoint. However, this is in the initial phases, so the enabling of this policy will only drive the visibility of this particular pop-up on the machine. There, there are other features as well, which I will be walking you all through, but those are available only in ScreenConnect. That is, if what would the user do if that particular if the machine has been idle? What if the consent, is there a way to set the consent expiry, or directly give access to machines, so on and so forth. So these are all the granular features that are there. They are available in ScreenConnect, and we would be subsequently moving and understanding and adding them to ASIO as well. These are the upcoming two features that we are going to focus on in our upcoming few months. One is the remote access report in Brightcase. As of today, we already have a remote access report which is refreshed on an 8 hours basis in the in-console reports, and a similar report would be available in Brightcase as well. Apart from that, a heavily used feature that we also have is the ScreenConnect stale session cleanup. So that this particular utility is readily available as of today in ScreenConnect. This is how the remote access report looks, and this is how the stale session cleanup is an extension in the ScreenConnect ecosystem, and this is how it looks. So wherein automatically it deletes all the stale sessions which are no longer active or needed. There are plethora of sessions in the ScreenConnect that we can see as of today. Sometimes the endpoint is no longer valid, or the session is no longer valid, and so on and so forth. Those sessions keep piling up. So this utility is very helpful when you want to do a quick cleanup of all the sessions that are available. Additionally, this utility also allows you to set a default timer or default session, a day count, or last check time to understand when to perform the auto cleanup as well. So I will now walk you all through the different features that I just talked about. So the first being the join for reason, that is over here. So now if I click on ScreenConnect remote access, This is the reason that comes up on the ASIO console. So once I enter this address over here, I should be able to get into the user's machine because the consent has not been enabled yet. And once I have entered this is how you can access the same thing in the report as well. So we have already had some remote access sessions earlier active, and those can be seen in this report as well over here. Till the time the reports are getting loaded up, I can also quickly show you this is another way where we can access ScreenConnect from the device details page. And as you can see over here, once you click over here, the reason pop-up is again enabled for this user, and the technician has to enter the reason for taking remote access, and only then they can proceed forward. So here you can see in the remote access report, we have different columns which gives you the information about which endpoint was accessed, what was the device type, which company or site it belongs to, who was the user that took remote access, and what was the reason for taking remote access, and what was the session start and end time. Please mind that device time zone is the time zone of the particular device for which remote access session was initiated. And this report at a time shows up information about a month or so, but you can go on and select whichever date you want and see whether the remote access sessions were initiated in that particular time frame or not. Apart from that, you can use the different filters that we have of in-console reports today to narrow down your results, search results, and see if you want to track for a particular reason, track for a particular user, and you can see if, okay, I will just show you how it works. So let's say I wanted to understand if this particular user has taken remote access in this month for this particular, let's say this particular endpoint. I think that is, yeah. So as you can see over here, let's say if the name is right. So as you can see over here, the filter has been populated and the report shows effectively only one row wherein the particular user had taken access of this machine in this time span. So moving forward, I will now walk you through how consent can be enabled in ScreenConnect. Please mind, consent in ASIO is an upcoming item which will be open to all the users in the upcoming few months. However, this option is already available as of today in ScreenConnect. So here you can see in the admin section, you have to go over here to the extensions part, and you have to just click on advanced and see over here the web configuration settings that we have for consent. So here you can see the consent timeout. So by default, whenever you enable consent, whenever a partner has provided consent, the consent will expire after these many seconds. This is again configurable, and you have full control on how to and what to have the consent timeout as. However, before that, we do have one setting that we need to make sure that it is in place to ensure that consent has been enabled across all the endpoints. Okay. So here you can go into the security page. And as you can see over here, I have already created two roles. One is the control administrator, one is the control host. And this is how host session without consent. If this has been enabled, then you do not require consent. However, if this has been disabled, that means the user would require consent. The user will have to provide the consent in order to give grant access to the technician for remote access. So this is one key setting that you have to do to enable consent on all the endpoints that are a part of that you want to be tracked for, and all of the other features that I was talking about of setting up the timeout and all of those other things, they are available here. So I'll give you a quick recap. Web configuration helps you set up what would be the default consent timeout over here. This would be the default timeout after which the consent expires and the user has to give consent again. Then we have the application configuration settings, and in this you can show auto consent. So this is what I have been mentioning about, that automatically consent to control if no user process is running. So basically, if the machine is idle or if that machine has no one to give consent, no one to click on give consent, you can configure it over here. So this is also for backstage, wherein you can enable auto consent for someone who is trying to access that particular machine via the ScreenConnect backstage feature. So this talks about the additional consent features that we have as of today in ScreenConnect as well. All right, then I think we are now open for questions, if any.
I don't currently show any questions at this time.
All right.
Oh, I stand corrected. One just came in. They said, I just came from the workflow RPA webinar and they sent me over here. Okay, more of a comment than a question. Oh, there we go. Related to updating agreement quantities. Okay. Using RMM. When is the stale session cleanup feature being released?
As of today, the stale session cleanup is already available as a part of extensions in ScreenConnect. In ASIO, yes, we would be publishing it in our roadmap as well. So it is a coming soon feature in ASIO, but it is already there in ScreenConnect. You can access it as an extension from ScreenConnect Marketplace.
Okay, I'm not showing any other questions yet. If anyone does happen to think of a question after the webinar is over, then you can feel free to email education@connectwise.com and we can get that question answered for you for anyone that doesn't get a question in. Looks like we have another here that says we can use Automate to update our agreement quantities through the managed services catalog. They said that there may be a roadmap feature to replicate the functionality you could describe.
I can try to answer that. So, Phil, we basically push the configuration counts managed by RMM in the agreement for managed service and managed workstations. If you're looking for that, that feature already is available.
There is one more question. Is there a way to export or import from ScreenConnect into ASIO ScreenConnect? Export, import, if it would have been helpful if you could elaborate what kind of information are you looking for to export or import into ASIO from ScreenConnect. But as of now, no, there is no functionality right now to support that, but we have been revisiting that idea as well.
Yeah, I think what Jeremy may mean is moving, importing or exporting their agents or their endpoints from ScreenConnect from a standalone ScreenConnect into the ScreenConnect that is with ASIO. So sort of like when a partner may do a server migration, for example, if they move from an old ScreenConnect server to a new one, there is an ability to export everything from their old ScreenConnect server and then import that into the new ScreenConnect server that they've built. I think that's what he's looking for.
Okay.
As far as my question goes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was just in the RPA and workflow webinar, and they said that they've sent me over here saying you guys might be able to also provide some insight into this, but we currently use ConnectWise Automate and their managed services catalog functionality with search groups, right? Advanced searches to basically search all of our endpoints that we have Automate on for if they have Sentinel-1, LionGuard, DNS filter, other parts of our security stack installed on that endpoint. And then we use that managed services catalog integration along with the ConnectWise managed plugin for Automate to then update the agreement quantities for specific additions on the agreement based on, the endpoints being joined into specific groups. So when we look at our customers, invoice or their agreement, it doesn't just say, oh yeah, you have 5 managed workstations. What it will show them is you have 5 managed workstations. 4 Sentinel-1s are installed on these 5 managed workstations, 3 LionGuards, 5 DNS filters, and that number will go up and down based on what is actually installed, and match reality, and get updated every night, or I guess technically twice a day when Automate does its managed services sync with PSA. And so now that we're moving to RMM, we need to replicate that functionality because I can't have my finance team manually go update an agreement, every single month for every single line item for, 10 or 15 additions that, the quantities are right now being automatically updated. And so I was on the other call and they said it might be a custom bot or something that could be done in RPA or workflow. But they also sent me over here to this webinar and said that I should ask about it here because there might be an existing roadmap or functionality item that you guys could speak to as the RMM side of things as far as the best way to kind of replicate that functionality. Does that make sense?
Yes, Phil, that makes complete sense. Thanks for the additional details here. So yes, that's on our roadmap, and that's a part of the feature with ASIO. I just dropped a documentation link. We call that feature as a unified billing intake, and teams working on building that product catalog and integration that can push that information to PSA and things like that. So I've dropped a documentation link. I would recommend having a look at that, but there is more coming up on that feature.
Okay. Yeah, because I've seen the unified billing intake, and that works great from an invoicing perspective, but we're trying to get it from a what's actually installed on the endpoint perspective, right? Because some of the tools let you automatically deprovision an agent, so you're not billed over it next month after like 30 days of inactivity and stuff like that, right? And so it would be great to be able to, again, using RMM, I believe the correct term is a dynamic group, but have a dynamic group for each of the softwares we're looking for, right, that are installed on our endpoints, and then be able to query that data using the API or using, workflow or RPA to then send that data over to the ConnectWise management PSA side of things to update those agreement addition quantities, right? But because the ASIO unified billing, my understanding is right now, that's just going to ingest data from invoices, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And just as we are talking about the APIs and stuff, yes, there are APIs and everything going to be exposed for the device group or dynamic groups that you're referring to. So I see that. I'll check with the team and I'll suggest somebody from that team to reach out to you and try to help you further from there.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. I don't see any more questions.
All right. Then I think we can close for today's session. Thanks everyone for joining, and stay tuned for upcoming sessions on Mastering RMM series. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.